Hey, it's John Pollock, and this is Fight News Now, the MMA edition. Hello, this is Fight News Now, your one stop for all the latest in the world of mixed martial arts. Today on the show, we've got an exclusive interview with Quinton Rampage Jackson, who was victorious this past weekend. We're also going to delve into the fallout from UFC 167. John Ramdeen and Robin Black will be going 3 rounds, and we have a sneak peek at the Xbox One coming up on the shift. But up first are this week's newsmakers. Johnny Hendricks was visibly crushed on Saturday night, being on the bad end of a split decision with George St-Pierre in the UFC 167 main event. After the decision was rendered, Hendricks spoke about the loss and his disappointment on not walking away as the new champion.
I thought I smashed him the first 4 rounds. You know, I don't know what everybody else was watching, but they know I won that fight. They know I controlled it. I did everything right. I don't know how much better I could have fought him. I knew that he was going to be a challenge. And my first time facing him, I beat him. I'll be back. You know, I just beat the pound for pound, supposedly best fighter in the world, and I smashed him first try. So guess what? All you other 70-pounders, that's actually my belt, and I will get it, and that's going to be my title one day.
Perhaps even more upset than Hendricks was UFC President Dana White, who used the post-fight press conference to vent over his frustration towards the judging of the main event, even calling upon the governor of Nevada to step in for oversight to the Nevada State Athletic Commission and insist on immediate changes being necessary.
It's about damage. This is a fight. It's whoever inflicts the most damage. You get hurt, you get wobbled, you get dropped. I'm blown away that George St-Pierre won that fight. And listen, I'm a promoter. He's the biggest pay-per-view star on the planet for me, and I still don't think he won that fight. I want what's fair, and that wasn't fair. I think the Nevada State Athletic Commission is atrocious. I think the governor needs to step in immediately before these guys destroy this sport like they did boxing. It's absolute 100% incompetence, and it needs to stop. It needs to end. I'm f***ing scared to come back here and do fights. I'm afraid of this state.
In one night at UFC 167, we saw the welterweight division shaken up in the top end between the close main event, St-Pierre's vague announcement of stepping away temporarily, as well as Robbie Lawler and Tyron Woodley adding W's to their record as we take a look at the facelift the 170-pound class underwent on Saturday night.
So what you're saying is you have personal things outside of fighting that you have to tend to? Is this the end?
I have to step away for a bit, and that's all I can say right now. I could just get punched a little bit and everything, but later on I'll make a point on that.
And with that announcement, the welterweight title picture was thrown into chaos.
You don't just say, hey, I'm going to take a while off, and maybe I'll be back, maybe I won't. You owe it to the fans, you owe it to that belt, you owe it to this company, and you owe it to Johnny Hendricks to give him that opportunity to fight again.
So if GSP returns, it is clear that the Hendricks rematch will be made. But if the champ is gone for an extended period of time, what will the UFC do?
You know, I just beat the pound for pound, supposedly best fighter in the world, and I smashed him first try. So guess what? All you other 70-pounders, that's actually my belt, and I will get it, and that's going to be my title one day. Good Lord.
After upsetting Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler is certainly in the title picture.
Like if George takes off for a half a year or a year, Hendricks and I fight for like an interim title, and when George comes back, I'll beat him up too. Let's do this.
And you know Carlos Condit would like a chance to reclaim the interim title against the man he felt won at UFC 167.
Johnny Hendricks. That one was close, and had it gone to a fourth, I think things may have been different. So that's one that I'd like. But I'd welcome any of those fights.
And let's not forget about the dark horse of the division, Matt Brown.
Referee, and he's going to stop it right there.
Man, he looks wobbly, man. Yes, he does. That's it. Close to being over. Nasty elbow to the body. And it's all over. Matt Brown's all over him. He's out.
My call is out. Matt Brown's winning streak.
Outstanding.
Regardless of whether St-Pierre stays or goes, the welterweight division has never been more exciting.
On Friday night, Quinton Rampage Jackson made his official Bellator debut with a TKO victory over Joey Beltran in a 210-pound catchweight bout. Rampage proclaimed he was back in his post-fight interview, and our own Fabiano Iha was present in the cage post-fight and spoke with the victorious Jackson.
It feels good. I know I started off a little slow, but Joey's a tough guy, and you know what I'm saying, and my first fight back since feeling normal. It felt good. I did the combos of what me and my coaches and stuff worked on, and it felt good to get a good knockout victory.
It's also hard to go ahead and walk in against a guy that you don't have no idea what he can bring it in.
Yeah, you know, I never watch my opponent fights anyway. I don't care how many fights they got. I just don't really watch them. I still like that feeling of, oh, I don't know, you know, it's like there's still like that mystery of it, and that's like something that I like. It makes me feel like a real fighter, but it you know, it does feel good to know that, you know, you in there and you fighting somebody tough. But I have to say to him, and all respect, because he took the fight on short notice. It wasn't like he had like 10 weeks to prepare like me, and so I have to give him all respect to him, and he deserves a rematch. If he ever wants a rematch, I would give him one, because he came and fought me on short notice. So much respect to him. I don't care who they bring. Really, now I know that I'm better. They can bring world champion. They can find anybody. I don't care. But don't be surprised if I do more stuff. Don't be surprised if I take the guy down and you know, take his back, or don't be surprised if I ground and pound or do something. I just want to go back, and now I want to go and have fun and just fight mixed martial arts and be more unpredictable now. I don't want to be the guy that's just throwing punches, trying to knock them out, because I know I can knock people out when it's time.
With the judging criteria such a hot topic coming out of the main event of UFC 167, we recently caught up with Anna Scher of Glory Kickboxing for her take on the current system in place as she heads into Glory 12 coming up this Saturday night from New York City.
You always wonder when you travel internationally, the judging system. So you know you have to make it decisive. You have to go in there and you gotta fight really hard. You gotta make sure that it's clear that you win. I like it to go the distance. I like to put on a really good show. So I would love to win by unanimous decision after 3 rounds.
Scher will meet Angela D'Angelo this Saturday night on the undercard of the 15-bout card, headlined by middleweights Joe Schilling and Wayne Barrett, and the action will be airing live here on Fight Network as we take a closer look at the card this weekend.
He's a guy that could potentially take away everything I just earned, take away everything I just showed my kids, and you know, the life that I just created. So you know, I'm looking at him as if he's the baddest man on the planet, and I'm coming to knock his teeth out.
Behind the guard end. Oh, and Schilling just dropped 11!
I view Joe, after his win at Glory 10, as just another human being. I don't really know much about Joe Schilling as a person. I've seen his fights on YouTube. You know, I just feel that I'm a lot better fighter than he's ever faced before.
And down goes Plotkin, and referee Stell stops the fight immediately.
Diresti difficile, uno avversario abbastanza scorretto, poco tecnico per quanto mi riguarda.
Paw on that jab. First kick of the fight.
I think Petrosian's style of fighting is boring. His eyes is very good, and when you make some faults and he take it over, he don't come to fight. He's come to stand, and it's not a style of fighting.
Knee there by Risky, and down goes Albert Kraus.
Robin, one horse manage. We are same height. We almost have the same style. I fought 3 years ago. I lost the decision, but I had some reason. But I lost fight. So this is a rematch for me.
A rather cautious start. Oh!
He got the same style like me. We both like to fight. Both like to get close. I think it's going to be the best fight to watch.
Coming forward, and down goes Grunhard.
And Ramdeen, that is coming up Saturday night right here on Fight Network. Glory going into New York City, a state that will not allow mixed martial arts, but New York will say hello to kickboxing on
Yeah,
Saturday.
it makes no sense to me, but we get to see one of the greatest fighters in the history of kickboxing, Giorgio Petrosian, so it kind of softens the blow.
What are you and Mr. Black chatting about today on 3 rounds?
We are still talking about all the fallout from UFC 167. Will George St-Pierre enter the rematch against Johnny Hendricks? And what to do with the welterweight division if he decides not to come back.
An exclusive. They have all of the answers coming up on 3 rounds, so don't go anywhere. We are back on Fight News Now, and we welcome in John Ramdeen and Robin Black for another installment of 3 rounds. And Robin, coming off of 167, you've been away this week. John scored the main event, 48-47 St-Pierre. I had it for Hendricks. It all comes down to that first round, a very close one. How did you score it?
Yeah, it's a weird one. If you score a 25-minute fight, Johnny Hendricks looked like he really beat up George St-Pierre, but if you score 3 5-minute rounds and you score round 1 by itself, just watch the 5 minutes of action with no sound, I think 7 out of 10 people are going to give that to George St-Pierre.
And I think that everybody's pissed off because of the fact that they don't, when people sit down and they watch fights, they don't actually score things round by round using the judging criteria. And I think if you turn the sound off, don't listen to Rogan and Goldberg say how hard Johnny Hendricks hits. I think if you just are very objective, a lot of people would be surprised if they turn the volume off how George St-Pierre won that first round. I think he dictated the pace. I think he was in control of the majority of the 5 minutes, and I think you have to give it to him. And if everything else is equal, let's just say it is so close that it's a 10-10 round, well, George St-Pierre then retains his title. But then the question has to be asked, what about those other rounds? Those other rounds should be maybe, it comes down to scoring and it comes down to judging criteria. Nothing's perfect right now in mixed martial arts, Robin, but we're going to switch topics right now. George St-Pierre saying that he's stepping away from mixed martial arts. UFC President Dana, for the time being, but UFC President Dana White says, no, we're going to get him back in the ring sooner rather than later, and they says they're in the works right now to make the rematch between Hendricks and GSP happen around Memorial Day weekend. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I am very surprised. Listen, everybody feels stress. You're a dentist, you're a mother, you're anyone, you experience stress. I just recently booked a fight, and you add dieting and exercise to all the other stresses. Suddenly I have a stomach issue, made me miss Monday. I have tension in my back where I have like tingling in my arm. All of this stuff happens, and I'm fighting at the lowest level. Now imagine you're George St-Pierre instead of a very low-level fighter or a mother or a dentist. You are experiencing having to stay on top for a decade. You're experiencing having to fight the toughest people in the world. A $10 million a year thing that you're running of endorsements, training, pressure, people hating you on the internet, what Dana White says. You're gonna snap eventually. George St-Pierre needs a break. I'm not one to ever tell someone to retire, but if he can't hack it anymore, he might step away. He's lived a great life. He's been a great champion.
There's been a lot of love for the welterweight champion. Everybody's saying, yeah, don't listen to Dana White. Don't listen to the UFC. You deserve it. Take some time away. If this is true, if this fight is going to happen in May of 2014, what do you anticipate from George? That he is really just going to jump back in there? Or is it just, you know, sure, I'm interested in the rematch, but let's take some time away. Let's focus on myself right now, because we've heard all these other distractions, lawsuits, potentially becoming a father for the first time. His father's his health is in decline. So with all these outside distractions, how can a guy be ready for another fight in which he was beaten up within 6 months?
Yeah, he was beaten up hard. Did he win 3 of the 5 rounds? I think he did, and I think if people look analytically, they'll say he won those. But he got beaten up. If it was a 25-minute fight, you'd want to give it to Johnny Hendricks because of how much he beat him. If you win 3 rounds just by a bit, you win 2 minutes and 35 seconds of 3 rounds. You win it. But if those other 2 rounds, those 10 minutes, I beat you this close to a 10-8, who won that fight? Judging in a different way. He took a beating. And he's taken a few beatings in his last fights. More blows to his head in his last 3 fights than almost his whole career combined. That's time where a guy has taken a lot. And we talked about the stresses of everybody's life, but add those extra pressures. And this isn't Dana White's role or any fan's role to say what this guy's going through or how relevant it is. This guy needs a break, or this guy needs to step away for a while. Or, hey, nobody's making you fight. You're a millionaire, you're young, and you're rich, and you're handsome. Lay on a beach for a while.
For George St-Pierre, of course, he says maybe this rematch will happen. Let's just say he rethinks things and decides, you know what, I'm not doing it. All the people around me that I care about and that care about me, they say, you know what, George, you need to take some time away from mixed martial arts. What do you do with the welterweight division right now, considering there's so many guys that are, you know, looking good, really peaking right now, guys like Tyron Woodley and Robbie Lawler, and of course, Johnny Hendricks, even though he suffered a defeat, the fact is he looked absolutely phenomenal, going in there, taking it to the champion, comes out of that fight unscathed. What do you think should be done to the welterweight picture? Is it just the fact is match all the best guys up with each other, and let's just see how it sorts itself out?
Well, what the UFC usually does is gives you matches that'll make money, because it's a business, and it's a business that we love watching, we love following. Johnny Hendricks versus Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see that fight? They're both on a roll. Listen, if George fought Johnny Hendricks in 6 weeks, George would lose that fight. He's got too much going on in his mind. He's gripping that steering wheel way too tight. He wants it. He's trying to prove people wrong. Even discussions of fighting right now are proving fans wrong. Dana White's incited the fans. And listen, look back at my record. I'm a Dana White guy. This guy's done brilliant things for this company. I love what Dana White does, but he's wrong in this case. You don't make a guy come back, whether he's made you $50 million or lost you $50 million. He's a human being that needs a break. But Johnny Hendricks versus Robbie Lawler, man, that's good times while George takes off for a year or forever or whatever he needs.
I just think they have to be consistent. We've seen Dominic Cruz sit on the sidelines. He still is the champion after sitting for so long. I think what the UFC needs to do, they need to go old school, or they need to pull a page out of Bellator's book. There has to be a welterweight tournament as George is sitting out. Let all these guys sort themselves out. Robbie Lawler, Ricky Story, Carlos Condit, Rory McDonald, Martin Kampmann. Bring back Nick Diaz, all these top guys. Let it happen over the course of a year or so, and then eventually we'll find out who the #1 contender is.
Listen, man, your reference to Dominic Cruz right there, that was a huge one. I haven't seen anyone say that. I haven't seen that referenced anywhere. That's a big thing. If you're telling this guy he's got to come back under these kind of pressures as he's feeling it and he's starting to really crack, and you're not going to tell Dominic Cruz that? Come on, man.
What do you think? Shouldn't the UFC cut George St-Pierre a little slack? Give this guy a break, considering all the money he's made for them and what he means to the sport of mixed martial arts?
I think the last thing people really want is an interim title, and if this guy, it's all the X factor right now. Is he going to be out till next summer? If that's the case, then that's really no cause, I think, for an interim title. But the Dominic Cruz precedent has been set out there. It's really hard to turn around and now tell George you got to fight by August. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. And for more with Ram Dean and Robin Black, you can tune in Mondays at 7 Eastern here on Fight Network for the expanded 5-round show that they put together each and every week. We're stepping out, but on the other side is a preview of the upcoming Xbox One console and this week's viral video. Welcome back. It's John Pollock with you on Fight News Now, and a few programming notes to get you set for the weekend. And that includes Glory 12 taking place live on Fight Network Saturday night, 9 Eastern, featuring Joe Schilling taking on Wayne Barrett, as well as the lightweight tournament. Right now, though, we welcome in Priscilla Carapan as she presents the shift, along with the return of Wei Ting.
The Xbox One will be released this week, and if you want a sneak peek of what's coming out, we've got you covered. Wei Ting got a chance to scope out the next generation system, as well as some of its new releases. And let's just say, when it comes to first-person shooters, even an 8-year-old would school Wei.
My name is Wei Ting. I'm here in downtown Toronto for X13, the exclusive media preview of the Xbox One. I'm a part of the media, you're not. I get to do this, Priscilla doesn't. Let's go check it out.
Xbox One is about 10 times more powerful than Xbox 360. Every game will be at 1080p. You know, on November 22nd, I'll be able to go into my living room and say Xbox on, and my Xbox will turn on, my entertainment system will turn on, my television will turn on. Anything you can do on an Xbox One, you can do it while you're playing a game. So I literally never have to leave my game.
To start with, you'll jump in, you'll be able to put your character together. There's something like 20,000 different combinations of heads, torsos, you know, knee pads, things like that. If you like to run and gun, you'll be able to really go into our perk system and have your choice of like which ones really play to that. So I think like as a key statement for multiplayer is that it's really customizable.
Tell me about some of the improvements you've been able to make to the game using the new hardware.
We have 7 new game modes, over 20 new perks.
Did I just die? Did I just die already? Where's the option to just like talk? Why don't we talk it out? Come to a peaceful agreement. You got 1 life to live, or 15 lives to live. Maybe I'll just chill out here in this abandoned diner. Enjoy the last moments of war. Ah, die. Oh, they're my team. Oops. What the f is that? Evidently, I'm just not fit for war, but maybe just my vision.
all the graphic levels are pushed to their maximum, and it's really a pleasure because usually we always develop the game for much more actually than the consoles can handle.
Play. So you really have to kill people on a variety of planes.
Yeah, really easily. We really spend a lot of time making sure that players will be able to play the game the way they want to. And so if I look down, I will see my crew jumping from my ship to the other and fighting for me. And now obviously air assassinate. Bang.
Tell me about Dead Rising 3. How is it better than the second one?
We've amped up the number of zombies. We've amped up the amount of weapons. It's a fully open world now. One of the big things that we've improved with this one is combo anywhere. Now you can just combo any 2 items right on the fly, so no more workbenches. Another big part of Dead Rising 3 that we've improved is our driving. You actually get affected by zombies as you're driving. They're jumping on the car. They actually even try to grab you out of the car and pull you right out.
What tips do you have for people who are going to camp out, obviously, in front of these stores? How to, whether it would be to dress more warmly or to pack up certain foods, drink a lot of liquids, what could you tell those people?
It is going to be a fun night, and we're going to be out there with people as well. So you want to stay hydrated, you want to keep warm, and we know that thousands across the country will be out doing that.
So that's Xbox One, comes out November 22nd. Get your sleeping bags ready, stay hydrated, because I know you guys are going to wait outside in line for this thing to come out.
At least Wade tried, right? To see the full Xbox preview, go to youtube.com/FightNetwork and stick around for the Easter egg at the end. That's it for the shift this week. Back over to you, John.
Thanks very much, Priscilla and Wei, and we're almost out of time, but before we say goodbye, we're going to all say wow as we watch this week's viral video.
Give me a look-see. It hurts.
I don't know what that was at all. Man got shot in the face. He's apparently alive. That brings our show to a close, as people are probably pulling their guns up towards their screen right now. Another week is done. A big thank you to Quinton Jackson and Fabiano Iha, who you heard exclusively here on Fight Network, as well as Anna Scher, who's in action Saturday night at Glory 12. It's airing here 9 Eastern, and don't miss the MMA Report this Thursday. Duke Rufus will be my guest, and you can also catch that on iTunes. On behalf of John Ramdeen, Robin Black, Priscilla Carapan, Wei Ting, the hardworking Fight Network crew, I'm John Pollock, and we'll chat again next week on Fight News Now.